for someone who wants to get released. Is their explanation for murdering Jose credible? Whether it's the planning or lack of planning or the fear or the self-defense. Here to help answer that question is the host of Surviving the Survivor podcast, Joel Waldman, and criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, Lindsay Richards. Great to have you both here. I'll start with you, Joel. What are you hearing from the brothers here? And do you find that all these years later, and they've got a real chance to get out. You know, it'll take another 3 years to take another shot at it. But what are your thoughts about their explanation here, as per Jose?
It's fascinating. I had not heard this, so to hear the audio from the parole hearings is really interesting, especially for me. And Vinny, I think I told you this before. I grew up in New Jersey playing tennis with the Menendez brothers at the East Brunswick Racket Club in New Jersey. So I have never been to their house, but I have friends from my hometown who were actually at their home in Princeton before they moved to Beverly Hills. And look, there was a party one time where someone spilled red wine on a white carpet, and the reaction from the brothers at that time when we were teenagers was, oh my God, my father's going to kill me. But it was really like, oh my God, my father is going to kill me, to the point that my friends were talking about it. And I used to see him at the tennis court. Granted, they were much better tennis players than I was. These guys were almost at a pro level, collegiate level for sure, D1. But there was something not right with the family. Everyone at the racket club knew that. People I knew were subpoenaed in the first trial. And so I think there is something there, but it's incredibly divisive and never okay to murder.
Yeah. What are you hearing here, Lindsay, from the brothers as they try to explain what was going on so many years ago?
You know, I think it's interesting in hearing this audio. They aren't taking, and I say this as a former prosecutor for many years, they aren't taking the accountability that I would have thought they would have for a parole hearing in terms of the premeditation. I think as a society, we've certainly evolved in our understanding of sexual abuse and emotional abuse and the impact that has on someone. And I think if this crime had occurred and this brutal murder had occurred in the midst of Jose coming into the room to potentially, engage in this kind of abuse, then it would make more sense that the murders occurred. But the way that they happened isn't quite lining up for me with the way that they are explaining this in this parole hearing.
Yeah, parole seems to, there's a couple of factors, right? There's the factors of what type of prisoner you are, but there's also a reckoning as to, taking some level of responsibility and coming clean, I think, is the word that comes to mind. Joel, because I still have a hard time when it always comes to the allegations against the mother. Like he literally said, I think it was Eric said, if my mother was going to come kill me, that's why I needed this weapon. My mother was going to come kill me. I don't know. To me, like I get the Jose, the animal, right? Jose, the abuser, the authoritarian, the one who's punishing them, perhaps physically, sexually, in every which way. But afraid that your mother's going to kill you?
Yeah, you make a great point. Look, this is, to the other guest's point as well, obviously an astute prosecutor at one point. That's exactly what DA Nathan Hochman is saying. He's saying that these two men who were, very young men at the time, that they have not shown the remorse. And to her point, in this parole hearing, instead of saying, overtly that we made a mistake, they're saying that they did buy the guns for protection. Now, I've heard horror stories about Kitty Menendez as well. She certainly turned a blind eye. If the abuse was happening, she turned a blind eye. There have been allegations against her of abuse as well. So this runs really deep. It's hard to discern the truth, especially after all these years. But Vinny, as you know, new evidence has come forward with this Andy Cano letter and Roy Rossello from the Menudo brothers. So, from Menudo. And so, you know, there's a lot out there to be sorted through, and whether they deserve to be out or not is the judge's decision at this point. A judge has not granted it.
Yeah. They're not getting a new trial either. Lindsay, is there coaching involved when it's time to go to a parole hearing? Is you know, because I know when it's time to go to trial, you know, a lawyer and their client will talk about, you know, how to act. You might do a mock cross-examination, things like that. Does the same thing happen in a parole hearing, or is it really incumbent upon the defendants themselves?
I don't believe the preparation is the same as if it was a trial, but certainly they're going to be prepped on what a parole board is looking for. And just like we were talking about, accountability is a huge part of that. And I do seem to think that if they had gone in and said, yes, we suffered this horrific abuse, and we really just had enough and made this horrible decision and this horrible choice, that might have been a bit more appealing to the parole board as far as their accountability is concerned than anything else. So it's interesting. I wonder if they kind of change their tactic in a few years when they have another chance.
Yeah. Okay. Stand by. Our guests are staying with us. When we come back, is their explanation for murdering Kitty credible?